Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Copon. It's November 20th, 2025, and this is Lift and Learn episode 147. In this episode, I'll talk about the best ways to avoid SAD, that's seasonal affective disorder, and then I'll talk about why taking care of your joints can be so important to your gains and your life. Before we get into today's episode, I'll share what life has been like lately. Sometimes it'll be fitness related in some aspect. If you want to follow along, you can find me on Instagram at isaiah.copon or check out my website, isaiahcopon.com, where I offer personal training and coaching. The podcast also has its own page as well. That's at Lift and Learn Podcast. That's where I'll be posting short clips of the show. And now for today's episode. Okay, so I got back on track that past week there. Got to work out pretty much 5 days a week. Tossed in my High Rocks training style on the Sundays typically. I took a few weeks break from that, but I'm going to start to ramp that up again. I went hard this week, man. Sprinting in between stations, and on those stations I just did as much as I can, basically, for like 5 minutes. So 5 minutes doing sled pushes, 5 minutes doing burpee broad jumps, all of that. But man, I feel really good on my 3 or 4 day training split right now. I was really sore after that workout though, I won't lie. Bodybuilding workouts have been full body and I've been doing a good job of gaining muscle, adding weight onto my body, but my body fat percentage is pretty much unchanged, I would say right now, but we'll see how long that keeps up. In a good spot with everything the last 10 days or so. I think the biggest thing is just having a plan when it comes to training and nutrition. So when it comes to grocery shopping, which I pretty much do every other day, the prices of my grocery runs themselves have gone down a little bit just because I'm starting to use stuff that's actually in the freezer already. It's just been sitting there like all year, so clearing that out the other day. I had like 3 pounds of chicken breast in there, some thighs in there too. I'm still trying to get through those. So I've been going through that as best as I can. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have already seen my latest post for like Nutrition November or whatever. That gives you a good idea of what I'm eating and maybe spark something new for you to try out and eat, I guess. Honestly, all the stuff I make are pretty simple. Trust me, I'm the last person that would get complicated with meals and all that. Yeah, I have to chop up some vegetables. Cleanup can be a mess sometimes, but that's part of being an adult, I guess. I just got to get it done. That's the mentality right now. And yeah, seems like forever ago now, but man, we got some snow last week. I was not ready, but thankfully, by the time the morning hit, the snow was pretty much melted. It was just like driving in the rain, basically. That's fortunate too, because my car is definitely not winter ready right now. First thing I did when the snow started, though, went to the Nike store. It was an outlet, so I figured there'd be nobody there. And this is kind of true. No lines or anything like that, so I got to just shop at my own pace, I guess. They had a friends and family discount, so what that means is for 30%, or you get 30% off the final price. So I got another pair of Pegasus 41s for cheap. That was a great deal. My new training shoe now. If I need to run indoors, I'll use those. They're normally $179. Got them for like $60 before taxes. That was huge. And then the next day, I went to a different location actually, and I found the pair of the Pegasus Plus, not the premium. So I think it is the Plus for around $80, and those retail for $229. I don't know if I'm going to resell those, but maybe I'll keep them for next year or something. I don't know. Undecided right now. Yeah, great deals over there. I spent a lot of money over those 2 days. Yeah, that's what I did. What else is on my mind lately? Okay, so let's see. 6 months from Ottawa High Rocks, but still not sure if I'm going to do that. So we'll see. I'll stay ready just in case, but I feel like Toronto next year is, I don't know, it's kind of a lock at this point. That'll mostly, or most likely, maybe, I don't know, be the last one that I do. I've been running outside lately. Yeah, my life is not really that interesting right now. Running outside has its pros and cons, though. Cons, obviously, it's cold out, and I need to get some gloves, which I actually have some on the way. But the pros are that the runs feel a little bit easier, actually, because I'm not having to like battle the heat and all the sweat that happens during those runs. Yeah, it's cold when I get out there. don't get me wrong. But I don't know, after like 10 minutes, you're kind of good. Just my hands were freezing the other day, so got some gloves, and I guess I'll update you guys next week on how that goes. I mean, it's not getting warmer, so we'll try them out. And daughter update before I talk about these fitness topics. Of course, I can't go an episode without talking about her. I actually don't even need to even bring her around in a stroller anymore. She doesn't even want me to carry her around anymore. She wants to run and walk around everywhere, which is just so crazy to see, because this time last year, she wouldn't really do anything because she was a newborn. And fast forward to this year, she's so independent now, almost too much, I feel. Doesn't even let me hold her hand really, but lately she's kind of been wanting to hold my hand, which is cool. She plays at the park like all by herself. Yesterday, this girl, I'm telling you, she went up the big kid part of the playground, okay? Up the stairs, everything. I was just, I was spotting. I'm there spotting, making sure she doesn't fall, but she's like pretty much always good. But yeah, she went up the stairs at the park and yeah, all by herself. And then she went down like the big slide, I was like, what is this girl doing? And she was just living her best life. So it's just so cute. Keep in mind, she's not even like 15 months old yet, I think. So I don't know. It is crazy actually when I think about it sometimes. When we go swimming, she willingly dunks her head into the pool and laughs about it. She's grown so much past year. This is probably my favorite phase right now. She's starting to like talk and babble a little bit more, even to herself when she's playing with her toys. I can be doing something in the house, like doing the dishes, and while she's playing, she'll just take a minute break to come over, hug me, and go back to playing. I love it. If we have to go like down to the parking garage, I'll just let her walk by herself and follow me now. She can do that without falling over. She can follow me into the elevator and everything. She just wants to do it all on her own. Usually it's a good thing unless she gets distracted and runs in the other direction, but that's all right. I mean, I'm always there watching her. She loves her fruit still. Those blueberries, man. So glad I'm getting them at Costco now, because she actually just crushes those any time of the day you give her those. She's just probably going to eat like the whole pack. Don't know what we'll ever do if she gets tired of them, but that's one she loves all the time. Loves the pasta her mama makes her, so she has ground beef and chicken every day pretty much. So we got her on that lean bulk for the next, 18 years maybe. Yeah, at this point, she's going to be like my partner, like workout partner in like 3 months' time. Like, we'll see. Question 1. What are the best ways to avoid SAD? All right, cycle of life continues as we go through the seasons here. Winter blues, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, if you haven't heard of it. For the most part, we all go through a little bit of this, okay? So the days are shorter, colder, sun's not out when you're driving to work or school. And when you leave work or school, the sun's gone already. So vitamin D levels are down. This affects mood, sleep, energy, melatonin production changes, which that makes you feel a little bit more sluggish and tired, basically. That on top of cold weather, less movement, more time inside, less real sunlight, more artificial light. At the end of the day, it all comes down to habits. That's how we beat this. It's a common thing we all go through, and it's normal to feel a little bit down or just drained physically and mentally when winter starts to creep up. The good news is that your fitness and health and daily habits, that can make a big difference in how you feel throughout the winter. So if you want to stay your best over the next few months, I can talk about some strategies to avoid or at least reduce some of those depression-like symptoms. Nothing beats the power of exercise, obviously, especially during these times. Working out, exercise, resistance training, whatever you want to call it, it's the ultimate antidepressant, especially when you're doing something you enjoy that's a bit challenging. I don't mean just punishing yourself even more because of the way you're feeling. I mean, working out, think about it as just getting up and moving. Personally, I like to work out in the morning, gets my day started the right way. I mean, if I pulled like 3 or 4 plates off the ground, nothing else for the rest of the day should be harder than that. That's how I think about it. It's a great momentum builder. Start your day with success, right? Strength training, that's going to help regulate your hormones, and that can help keep your motivation in life higher throughout the wintertime. Even if it's just 3 times weekly, that's better than nothing, and you'll still reap all the benefits if your program's done correctly. All right, so again, consistency trumps intensity. All right, so you don't like to exercise? Then just do things you enjoy. Personally, I'm still able to go for walks during the winter, not outside typically, but I'll walk in an underground parking garage area. Not the greatest environment, but it breaks up the monotony of being indoors and it gets me moving, which is a positive. Nutrition may be something to shift your focus on as well. Honestly, me and a bunch of my clients have gone down this road a little bit, figuring out new meals we can all enjoy. We could all use a bit of tweaking with this. With nutrition and the meals we're eating, we usually stick to the same few meals, like the same few foods. At least that's what I've found talking to clients over the years, and myself too, always gravitate towards one style of diet, Maybe this would be a good time to try something new, add in some spice and change when it comes to those meals. Adding in new staple meals into your life, something that'll actually fuel your body for the better. I think this one's underrated because you might find something you actually enjoy. What I challenged my clients to do, which is something I initially did, when you go out to the restaurant or when you open the Uber Eats app, what do you typically order? Think about that for a second, okay? And be like, okay, so I'd order so-and-so meal at Chipotle, for example. Okay, so try to make that at home. You know what toppings you're going to choose anyway. The internet is out there. I know someone has a damn good recipe that you could copy, and it'll be super simple, right? Yeah, so what? It might not be as good as the one you would have ordered, but I bet you save money. And I bet the next time you make it, you can figure out what to tweak in order to make it taste better or more nutritious or whatever it is. And I bet you could even make it align with your goals better. Plus, you know exactly what's going into that meal. And I know for sure you can add protein to that meal because the restaurants and the to-go places, they're always going to skimp out on that. Yeah, you could definitely find another recipe out there. I don't know, they have AI for that now, help you make that meal better, but the tools are out there. And yeah, the cleanup might be annoying, but really it's time to, I don't know, just be an adult and do it. Sulking around and just scrolling in your bed looking for a meal to order and eat, that's just, I don't know, sounds like depressing. And you're not going to beat the winter blues like that, that's for sure. And then it'll be a really long winter. Focus on something in your life you can improve, and I guarantee your 2026 will be off. Whoa, that sounded so weird to say. I guarantee your 2026 will be off to an amazing start if you just do some of this stuff, because you did the work now as opposed to rushing by the time January hits. Some other things, okay, off the top that could help: listening to happy things, maybe watching things that make you laugh. I like watching comedy. It helps bring my mood up. Personally, The Office is an all-time favorite, and Chad Powers is a recent show that was pretty funny, and I'll eventually get around to finishing that up when I figure it out. There's not a lot of TV in my life right now besides just having sports on in the background, but something uplifting to watch could be ideal for you if you have some of these symptoms as well. And then earlier I talked about how your vitamin D levels are most likely down at this time. You might want to think about supplementing with this because of the lack of sunlight we're getting in the winter. You could also get into, red light therapy. This helps too. I mean, I don't have a brand to push because I have no sponsors. Just make sure they're legit. They are a bit expensive, so if you're just looking at some cheap ones on Amazon, those might not be adequate enough to make a significant change within your body. Healthy fats, that's also something you should be prioritizing as well. You might want to supplement with omega-3s at this time as well too, especially if you don't regularly eat salmon or sardines or that type of fish. This, in combination with the vitamin D intake, could help with your hormone regulation, sleep, inflammation throughout the body, and even your mood. Prioritizing recovery could be something to take a look at as well. Things like a consistent sleep schedule is important. That means even on weekends, your sleep schedule just stays consistent every day. Stress management is important as well, which I've covered before. Things like meditation, journaling, breathwork, you heard it before. Even a good yoga or Pilates or a mobility flow, something like that can help you feel good. I sound like a broken record, trust me, I know. It feels like I repeat the same thing every week, but that's the power of getting a handle on these 4 pillars. You'll just see your life improve in every way. With the right training, you'll be able to beat SAD this year. This is a good time to focus on preparing for the new year. So a lot of the times people will they'll wait till January 1st to change their life, but why don't you just start now? Build a good foundation and you'll have a way better time when you start 2026. You'll have a way better start to the year. You're not stressing out on how to improve your life because you figured it out. Start now. Don't think about perfection. Right now is just about gaining that momentum so that by the time the new year starts, you're already a few steps ahead and you're not starting from scratch. Question 2. Why healthy joints equals better gains? Okay, again, here's a good time to cover this. I think, because something we should all be thinking about right now that we're at the end of the year, something we need to think about is how we can set ourselves up to have a good 2026. In terms of health, fitness, and all the things, I want everyone to move better going forward. That's why I wanted to cover something like this. I have a lot of complain about knee issues, elbow, wrist, feet, ankle. That was a recent one. We should now be thinking about building and preparing for next year. We need to make sure our foundation is good before we start getting after your goals for 2026. A lot of the times on this podcast, I'm always talking about, eat better, or eat better outside of the gym. And then inside the gym, you want to get stronger, progressive overload, all that good stuff. Building muscle to boost metabolism, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, sometimes we're neglecting the little things. You can't be strong if you're living with these little aches and pains, so we need to make sure that you're capable of moving properly first without pain in your joints, because that could be a limiting factor when it comes to lifting, heavy, relatively speaking. If your joints are weak or achy, you're limiting your power output and your workouts suffer because of that. Been there, done that. I think we all have. I had an elbow issue when I was at my peak strength. I was pushing like 3 plates on the bench consistently, but my left elbow would act up, and that didn't go away for months, and my strength plummeted, but let's get back to that later. I covered warm-ups on the last episode I had, so go through that. Don't ignore the warm-up, because that gives you a good idea of what does or does not feel good in your body that day. Here's where people hit that roadblock, I feel. This is where the injuries set you back. It starts with just a little thing, and then it gets worse. You feel a little bit of something in your knee, so you stop squatting. Or you feel a little bit of something in your knee and keep on squatting, continuing to go heavier and then hurt yourself. You have to be smart with your training and the way you approach it. You need to take care of your joints. This is why your mobility drills are important, especially if you're looking at your health for the long term, which you should always be. When you do feel pain in your joints, a lot of the times it's just a weakness in and around that area, but you want to get ahead of this because you don't want to wait until it's too late. If you're thinking long term, to prevent injury to that joint, you need to work the surrounding muscles around it. If you have a knee issue, for example, we can maybe look at the feet, but when it comes down to it, your training should be focused on strengthening your quads, your calves, maybe your tibialis anterior, especially your hamstrings. Those surrounding muscles around your knee are so important to strengthen and mobilize in order for that joint to hurt less over time. You don't just ignore it completely until it goes away, especially if it's a chronic thing you have going on. Of course, you need to take care of your joints. This is not rocket science. This will help you when it comes to mobility, stability, balance. This is going to help your gains when it comes to better longevity, fewer injuries, which is the main setback that happens. And then you're able to train harder without the stiffness or pain holding you back. Something to focus on is your mobility and stability. Most people have one or the other, but if you have both, that's kind of where the magic happens. This is why you should always be training, challenging all the planes of motion, especially rotational movements and lateral movements, since those are usually missing from typical workout routines and daily life doesn't challenge it enough. The thing is, your muscles can only produce enough force that your joints can safely handle, and your body knows this. They could be the limiting factor in most movements. I think that's a big reason why when I'm looking back at old lifting footage from 10 years ago, it makes no sense that I was able to easily squat 3 plates and now I can't even do anything close to that. It's not necessarily that I had way more muscle back then, but it's probably years of neglect when it comes to my mobility and all the joints involved in that movement. So taking care of your joints is going to help you activate your muscles a lot better too. When your joints move properly, your muscles will be recruiting the right muscle fibers and you'll be able to generate a lot more power. A specific example here, if you have poor hip mobility and your glutes don't activate properly, then your lower back takes a lot of the load. That's just how it works. But when your hips are moving the way they should, then all of a sudden your glutes are doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, and then your squat feels a lot better, and that tension in your lower back is gone. This is exactly why I'm always preaching on everyone to do their mobility work, because this helps so much with performance, not just for improving range of motion. This is all part of the foundation you should be building and working on daily. Okay, so quickly, how can you take care of your joints better? That's why you're here, right? So staying hydrated, that's also a big part of this. It's huge. You need water to help cushion your joints, good old synovial fluid. Supplementing with omega-3 fats That helps reduce inflammation to some degree. There's some research that shows collagen and vitamin C could also help. Breaking up your day, I think this is probably even more important than all the supplements. Breaking up your day if you're sitting at a desk. Don't get stuck for 8 hours in the same position, because you could do all the mobility in the world and take all the greatest supplements in the world consistently, but you counteract that by sitting in a bad position for hours and hours every day for years. Address these issues early and adjust your techniques, use different exercises. When your joints feel good and your body performs its best too. That's when the real progress starts. Respect your body and it'll only give you good things. I know the structure for this topic wasn't the greatest, but I think you get the idea. Ultimately, take care of your body. And that concludes episode 147 of the podcast. I'll see you in 2 weeks where I'll talk about excelling at this winter arc and when less could actually mean more. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Lift and Learn podcast. If you enjoyed the episode or the podcast as a whole, it would mean a lot if you left a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes are currently being released on Thursdays. You can find me, your host, on Instagram at isaiah.copon or visit my website at isaiah.com. If you want to follow the podcast itself, head over to Instagram and look up at Lift and Learn Podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.